Hello and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to the daily Hindu news analysis. Apologies for the slight delay, there was a small technical inconvenience. So let's get started with the analysis of today's The Hindu newspaper. But before we start, we have a few important announcements. We have started the online classroom program for CSE 2025. The classes have begun from 13th of Feb. So if you wish to enroll, please contact us. There is a special offer going on till the 17th of Feb. We are providing a flat 50% discount on all the IAS courses. The best part is that as part of the subscription plan, you'll not only get access to the English classes, but you'll get access to the bilingual and the Hindi classes as well. So please make note of this and let's take a look at the topics that we are going to discuss. From the Delhi edition of The Hindu, I have chosen 5 important articles for discussion. But of course, as you saw in the newspaper, it is dominated by one major headline. Yesterday, the Supreme Court passed a landmark verdict on electoral bonds and has declared electoral bonds as unconstitutional. I'm not picking that topic for discussion today because yesterday, Sarmad Mehraj sir has carried out a detailed analysis as part of the nuanced series. So please watch this video which is available on our YouTube channel and let's start with the discussion of today's The Hindu newspaper. Let's look at this column from page number 11. This column is dealing with the topic of artificial intelligence and specifically with voice cloning and the implications that arise out of voice cloning technologies. The Hindu is basically carrying out an interview with 2 professionals from the music industry and it's generating their opinion on using voice cloning technology in the music industry, the ethical considerations regarding that. The article itself is not providing us much information on this topic, but I will widen the discussion. We will have a deep discussion on this topic because AI technologies are disruptive. It's a critical emerging technology and the wide applications they have, they present many opportunities as well. At the same time, they raise a number of risks and concerns. So let's take a look at deep fakes and voice cloning technology today. We'll understand what these technologies are, what applications do they have, what opportunities do they create, and we'll also discuss the consequences and the implications. So first, the context. Why is this topic in news? Why is the Hindu focusing on usage of voice cloning in the music industry? That's because recently, popular music composer A.R. Rahman, he tweeted that in one of the latest Rajnikant movies, a song that was used was generated through a AI cloning software. The software has mimicked the exact voice pattern of erstwhile singers who are no more, and the voice of these legendary singers was used to generate this cloned song which has been featured in the Tamil movie Lal Salam. So this brings up the question of intellectual property rights. It brings up the question of the ethical considerations of using the voice of artists who are no more. However, in this case, the families of these artists, they were consulted, their permission has been taken, consent has been obtained, they have been compensated as well. But still it brings up the ethical concerns and the intellectual property concerns associated with voice cloning technology. In fact, many of you would have seen on social media platforms as well, right, where the voice of various celebrities or well-known individuals is cloned and it is used primarily for amusement, for memes, etc. So there are many applications of voice cloning technology, but however, there are many serious implications and concerns that arise out of it. So let's take a look at the ethical dimensions of using AI technology for such creative purposes. Let's understand the implications related to copyright as well. And we'll also talk about the misuse of these technologies, how it can be misused to create security concerns, security challenges. So if you look at deep fakes are essentially hyper-realistic media. It's an audio file or a video file or even an image or even a text which is generated by an AI algorithm. And it is so hyper-realistic that it looks to be genuine. For example, you can create a voice clone of any individual. For example, my voice sample can be taken and it can be put through a AI algorithm which will apply machine learning techniques to synthesize my voice, to deduce the exact speech pattern, to even mimic the tone, the pitch, and the emotional range of our voice. And this could be used to generate speech which would sound exactly like my voice. So that is how advanced generative AI has become. In fact, in the last 1.5 years, generative AI has become the buzzword. Ever since ChatGPT hit the scene, generative artificial intelligence algorithms have become very popular, and there are few generative AI tools available which can produce these deep fake videos, audios, text, images, etc. There are instances where several popular artworks of artists, paintings, have been reproduced and replicated by using AI algorithms. There are video files, visuals, and audio files created of popular celebrities, of many well-known individuals who are no more, right? Their voice and video has been brought back to life. So this actually serves a great purpose as well, to relive their memories. It also helps in in general amusement on social media. It has great application in the creative industry, in movie, gaming, and in general in the creative industry, right? So definitely there are a wide variety of applications with regard to deep fakes. It's not just about mere lip syncing. When I'm talking about voice cloning technology, it's not just about lip syncing or placing someone else's voice on someone else's face. This is about mimicking the exact tonality of another person, capturing the small modulations in their voice, the changes in pitch, in tone, including the emotional range. Because when we communicate to our voice, right, we do express happiness, anger, and a different range of emotions. And this has to be captured by the AI algorithm. Today, generative AI tools are able to do that. If you provide them with enough data samples, right, the AI algorithm, the machine learning algorithm will learn the tone, the pattern, the pitch, the emotional range at which a person is speaking. It will even capture the nuances involved in your speech. Each individual's voice is different. You can recognize a person by their voice. Even if you don't look at them, just by listening to them, you can recognize who it is, right? So this is because all of us have a different tonality, a different pitch. We do speak a certain number of words in a given period of time, right? The speed at which you're speaking also matters, and the emotional range and the modulations that we are using. So AI tools can capture and deduce these patterns and generate a clone voice which is as good as the original. So now, whatever speech is provided to it, whatever text is provided to it, can be reproduced through the cloned voice, and it would be very, very close to the voice of the original person. Now, if you think about the positive aspect of this, imagine if we can bring back songs of Kishore Kumar or Rafi, right? And this is already available on social media. That's what A.R. Rahman also attempted in this particular movie. They tried to bring back the legendary voice of two popular singers, and by using a voice cloning technology, they have recreated a song. So it definitely has a lot of purpose in the creative industry. It can serve the purpose of entertainment, amusement, right? It has a lot of applications in gaming industry, and as well as in the private organizations. There are a number of applications that can be built based on voice cloning. But however, if the technology is misused, it raises very serious concerns. There are serious implications. In fact, this is the problem with any disruptive, revolutionary technology. They can have numerous applications, they can create numerous opportunities. At the same time, if it is in the wrong hands, if it is misused, it can raise very serious concerns and challenges. So before we look at the implications and the opportunities, let's understand, how does voice cloning technology work? UPSC might ask a basic question. What is AI voice cloning? How does the technology work? A straightforward 10-mark question can be asked in mains. So let's take a brief look at how the technology works. How does it process the audio files? How does it clone and mimic the voice? And what is the speech synthesis that is involved in it? Just a basic idea about it, and then we can understand the opportunities and the implications. See, the first step involved in voice cloning is to capture the voice of the individual concerned. If you're trying to mimic the voice of a certain individual, maybe a singer, a celebrity, or a popular leader, right? First, you have to capture their voice. This voice is fed as data into the AI algorithm. Any AI algorithm is basically a machine learning platform, right? The algorithm can learn. It learns from the data that it is being fed with. So these tools, they will start deducing the speech patterns. The algorithm is designed in such a way that it will start identifying the unique patterns in each person's voice, from the tone to the pitch to the emotional range to the modulations and the speed at which a person is speaking. So all those nuances are captured, and this is used with speech synthesis softwares. We already have many speech synthesis softwares available, essentially text to speech converters. Even on our phones, laptops, you already have text to speech converters. So if the cloned voice is merged with a speech synthesizer and you provide the right input, then you will get an output file which is as good as the original voice of that concerned person. Understood? So once the algorithm breaks down and deduces these patterns, it creates the cloned voice. Now, once you provide the speech input, right, it will merge the file to create a cloned voice. So you can create a song, right? You can make someone speak the way you want, and you can exactly mimic the voice modulations, the features of the voice of another person. So such a technology definitely has a wide variety of applications. Let's look at the positive side for the initial part. Let's look at the applications, the opportunities that are available. As we were discussing in the music industry, in movie making industry, in the entire creative industry for that matter, including gaming industry, there are plenty of applications. You can clone the voices of celebrities, musicians, artists, actors, etc. Right? This can also be used in the industry as well, right? For example, in the education industry, you can exactly clone the voice of teachers and produce that and use that for making audiobooks, for example, right? Audiobook generation would become easier, and you don't need a person to invest their effort to read out speech. You just create the content, clone the voice of a popular teacher, a popular educator, and you can easily run this on an AI algorithm. In the customer service industry, right, across companies, customer service industry can be revolutionized. They can cut down the burden that is there on their teams. They can reduce the investment on the number of people they have receiving these calls, and they can use voice cloning technology to provide real-time responses and even very accurate responses, and even mimic certain voices. So there are a wide variety of applications that can be used for the positive purposes. But of course, there are legal concerns that come up, because in most countries, in most jurisdictions, AI technologies are still not regulated. Except for, let's say, European Union, most countries still haven't come out with a law or a policy specifically for AI technologies and how to regulate them. So this is where variety of concerns come up. There are a lot of adverse implications that are possible. Now, if you're just talking about songs, music, and let's say movies, and mimicking the voice of celebrities, etc., this could raise copyright concerns, right? What if there are the new age producers, artists, what if they are just using voice cloning technology and trying to reproduce the voice of other singers and actors? And what if they are selling these products? So that could represent a violation of intellectual property rights. The label could be owned by a different agency, but someone else could clone the voice and they could start selling this as a separate product. So IP laws are not accustomed to dealing with voice cloning AI technologies. So this raises copyright concerns. It could also bring up ethical concerns. How correct is it to use voices of singers and actors who have passed away? Because they are not here to give their consent. Even if consent is obtained from their family, and even if they are compensated, is it still ethical to clone their voice and replicate it without the consent of the person. How could you use the voice of a dead person, bring it back to life, right? That raises some ethical concerns as well. It's an ethical dilemma. Plus, there are major security implications. Now, look at the dark side of this. Look at the negative side. We already have deep fakes through which online frauds are being committed. Today, victims are getting calls that mimics the voice of their loved ones, their family members and friends, as if they are in distress, as if they need money urgently. And since the voice sounds very familiar, you can recognize that it's your parent, your sibling, your friend, your spouse. You believe that they're actually in distress, and many victims have been scammed based on such technology. For example, recently there was an incident in Hong Kong and even in the United States. In the US, there was a case where the parents received a call and the call sounded exactly like their daughter. The voice was exactly the same, right? And the daughter on the other end, whom they believed to be their daughter, told them that she has been kidnapped. She has been kidnapped and they have to pay a ransom. So believing that she was actually in distress, the parents transferred the money as well, right? But later to realize that the daughter was never kidnapped in the first place. She had just been forced by the cyber attackers to hide herself, to take pictures of herself as if she has been tied down and share those images with the parents, and the voice samples they had used to send this audio message to their parents was a cloned voice sample. Right? Today, there are many applications that capture your voice. So enough voice samples will be available if the data is leaked. So cyber criminals might get hold of your voice samples, use that to generate a clone voice, and then make calls to your near and dear ones and extract money by creating such situations. There have been many incidents in India where people receive phone calls where it exactly sounds that someone who's related to them, someone who's close to them is speaking on the other side, right? They tell them that they're in an accident or their parents have been admitted in a hospital, right? Or they have a immediate financial situation. So believing the other person, you recognize the voice, you believe that it's genuine, and you might end up transferring money, or you might end up revealing personal information. So tomorrow you might get a call which sounds exactly like your father or mother saying, I've forgotten the net banking login and password. So you might believe that and you might share the details, and that could compromise your financial stability. Your accounts will be stolen by the hackers, by the criminals. So many such online frauds are being committed by using deep fakes, particularly voice cloning technology. There was an incident in Hong Kong which made use of deep fake visuals and audio. A top financial expert, he was duped by using deep fakes, that as if the company's CEO and the CFO were calling him. They held multiple virtual meetings as well. He could see that it was his CEO, his CFO. They were speaking exactly like his bosses, and they ordered him to transfer millions of dollars to a certain account. He believed these were genuine calls because the meetings were very real. He saw the other person on the other side. The voices were very real. Believing that, he executed those transactions, and later to realize that this was entirely a fraud. The video was created using deepfake technology. The voices were replicated using voice cloning technology. So later, the company suffered tremendous losses in Hong Kong. So these are very real threats when it comes to such online frauds and cyber scams. But the other real menace is to the society and to the national security of the nation. What if by using voice cloning technology and deep fakes, fake news can be spread? It's very easy to spread false information, to spread rumors, and that too in the voice of very well-known individuals. What if tomorrow there is a voice clone of the Prime Minister or well-known individuals, right? And what if wrong messages are spread by mimicking their voice patterns, by generating deepfake videos which look very original, very authentic? Sometimes it's very hard to recognize the difference as well. You might be seeing on YouTube, Instagram, there are many virtual influencers today, meaning the person doesn't exist. It's a virtual image and a visual file created by using these AI cloning technologies, which we call as deep fakes. So people fall for it, and people don't even realize, right, sometimes that the other person on the other side is actually just a virtual figure who doesn't exist in real life. So the possibilities are endless. So if it is misused, if it is put for the wrong purpose, it can be used to spread propaganda, to spread rumors and fake news, and this could lead to a law and order situation potentially. It could be used to create communal polarization, increase social divisions, trigger riots, and thus turn this into a national security problem. So the misuse of AI technology does represent a major security challenge as well, along with the legal, ethical, and economic implications. So this is where the need comes up to regulate AI technology. Today, most countries are way behind the curve. For example, in India, we don't have any specific law or policy that regulates AI technologies. In this regard, European Union has taken a lead. The EU has recently enacted the AI Act, the Artificial Intelligence Act. As usual, the EU has set a model for the rest of the world to follow. But when regulating AI, there should be a balance in that law or policy. It should not end up crippling innovation, because AI technologies have a lot of advantages. They create many opportunities. It's a revolutionary technology. It is driving the fourth stage of the industrial revolution that we are going through, right? So the regulation shouldn't be so stringent that it's going to curb innovation, research, and development. That shouldn't happen. It should enable innovation. It should enable the positive applications while curbing and restricting harmful AI algorithms. The clear distinction has to be drawn, and that is exactly what European Union has tried to do. Through this law, the EU is trying to categorize AI technologies into different segments. It will completely provide freedom. Complete freedom is provided to those AI tools which are used for the good of the society, through which economic benefits, social benefits can be derived. But those AI tools which pose a threat, which contain a risk element, some of them will be regulated, and those which are extremely risky, the development of those technologies are prohibited in the European Union. Meaning, the companies which are working on these technologies, they have to put a moratorium on the development of extremely harmful AI tools, which could be misused. So, a staggered regulation is provided. Those tools which only have a positive application, which is good for the economy, the country, the society, only those are allowed. So those technologies are enabled, and this creates a positive environment for innovation, for research and development. There are regulations with regard to certain AI tools which have the potential for misuse. And those which are developed with a malified intention, with a wrong intention to do harm to the society, such technologies are completely banned. And several companies, in fact, themselves have put a moratorium on the development of such highly advanced and highly harmful AI technologies. I think this is where India also should draw a lesson. Today we have the IT Act that governs and regulates information technology, but it's already outdated. IT Act is not even able to deal with new age digital technologies, right? Forget AI. It's not even able to cope with the new age information technologies that are in use today. So India needs a AI regulatory environment, right? We need a law, a policy in place. The Niti Aayog has taken some steps in this regard. The Niti Aayog has brought out a set of guidelines to promote regulation in the AI industry. But going forward, India should also have a regulatory framework. A law or a policy is very essential, right? And we can draw lessons from European Union, which has brought out the AI Act. So this is what we take away from this article that was presented as an interview on page number 11. Now, before I take up the next article, we have a very important announcement. We are launching a very, very important initiative on the Unacademy app. Please note, this initiative will be exclusively available on the Unacademy platform. So we are launching NCERT Fundamentals. We have seen that many students, especially the beginners, they struggle with covering NCERTs, which are very important for preparing for UPSC Prelims and Mains. This helps you lay the right foundation in key subjects like history, geography, economy, etc. So to help you cover the NCERT fundamentals from 6th standard to 12th standard, we are launching a dedicated series from 19th of Feb. Please make a note. From 19th of Feb, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., we will conduct a 2-hour session covering different subjects over a period of time, and very soon we will share the detailed schedule with you. So right now you just have to download the Unacademy app, and we are going to launch NCERT Fundamental Series from 19th of Feb starting at 7 a.m. in the morning. So you will have one class every day. It won't be a burden as well for you. You just have to attend one class every day, Monday to Saturday. And over a period of time, we will cover all the NCERT books from 6th to 12th standard. So please make a note of this and do download the Unacademy app. Now coming to the next article from page number 12. This column deals with the ongoing unrest in Ladakh. Ladakh has seen a number of protests. In fact, the popular activist and engineer Sonam Wangchuk, who was also depicted in the Three Idiots movie, his character was depicted in the Three Idiots movie, he has gone on a hunger strike, a fast unto death, demanding certain changes with regard to the constitutional status of Ladakh. The people of Ladakh, thousands of them have come out on streets, both in Leh and Kargil, and they have called for a complete shutdown. They have been protesting from a number of days, and they have certain demands. They have certain political constitutional demands. So this column is examining the ongoing situation in Ladakh, the crisis. Why are the people of Ladakh protesting? What's their demand and what's the government doing about it? So let's take a look at this. See, the Ladakh region is geographically very distinct. It is strategically located as well, as far as the whole region is concerned. And until recently, Ladakh was one of the 3 regions that made up the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. When J&K was a state prior to 2019, there were 3 distinct regions that formed Jammu and Kashmir. That was Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, right? Also, this whole region has a very unique demography. The Jammu region is largely Hindu dominated, Kashmir region is largely Muslim dominated, and Ladakh was largely Buddhist dominated. But in 2019, some major changes were done. The special status enjoyed by J&K under Article 370 was abrogated. Following this, the state was reorganized into 2 union territories. J&K was set up as a separate union territory with a legislative assembly of its own. But the elections are yet to be held for J&K Legislative Assembly. So right now it is being administered by the center itself through a lieutenant governor. But eventually J&K will have its own legislative assembly with elections. But Ladakh, on the other hand, which was also carved out as a separate union territory, is placed under the direct administration of the center. So that is the current political constitutional setup with regard to Ladakh. Now, if you look at Ladakh, it is comprised of 2 major divisions or 2 major districts. One is Kargil, that covers the Dras Batalik sector, which is strategically vital. Then the Leh district, which is also strategically vital for India. Now, in Kargil, there is a unique demography. The Kargil region is largely Muslim dominated. And here we have a major dispute with Pakistan, right? These are Pakistan occupied territories, which we refer to as POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. We have also had conflicts over here, including the Kargil conflict of 1999. So it is a sensitive, delicate region where there is an active international dispute, and the region has certain local issues, local concerns with regard to the identity of the people, the economic development of the region, and also the environment and ecology of the region. As part of the Himalayan ranges, the ecology here is very sensitive. The region is prone to disasters as well, right? So the people of Kargil, they have a lot of genuine concerns which they are trying to express through these protests. Similarly, in Ladakh, in the Leh district, this is Buddhist dominated. If the Kargil region is largely Muslim dominated, then the Leh district is largely Buddhist dominated. So here, part of this, which is Aksai Chin, is under the illegal occupation of China. China has occupied Aksai Chin since 1962, right? So there is a active international dispute here as well with China. So there are many strategically vital locations in this region over here. You have the Siachen Glacier, the world's highest battlefield. You have the Karakoram Pass and the Karakoram Ranges. They're all strategically vital for India and as well as the other countries present here, that is Pakistan and China on both the sides. So from a security point of view, there are many challenges in the region. From developmental viewpoint as well, there are a lot of challenges. And particularly the local people, the locals of Kargil, the locals of Leh, right? They have certain genuine concerns and grievances. And they feel that after Ladakh was separately carved out as a union territory, brought directly under the centre's administration, that their concerns are not being met, that their demands are not being fulfilled. So in Ladakh, we are seeing protests today by the people of Leh and also by the people of Kargil. Both have united together. The protests are being led by a few bodies and organizations that represent the Buddhist people of Leh and the Muslims of Kargil. Together, collectively, they are shutting down Ladakh, protesting since several days, demanding certain concessions with regard to the development of the region and the constitutional status of the region. Their main concern is that if Ladakh remains a union territory without its own assembly, without representation for Ladakh in the parliament, then their concern is that there would be bureaucratic overreach from Delhi. If it is directly administered from Delhi by the government of India, right, through a lieutenant governor, the concern is that the local demands of the Ladakh people will not be addressed, will not be met. As we discussed, this region is suffering from economic backwardness. There is high levels of unemployment, very poor access to education and healthcare. Connectivity is a challenge because of the difficult geography and terrain. The ecology itself is very sensitive and delicate. Especially climate change, global warming is posing a threat to the snow-capped regions in the Himalayas. There is increased risk of avalanches, flash floods, then cloudburst events. The Himalayan belt sits on a very active tectonic plate, and this zone is highly seismic, very prone to earthquakes that could trigger even landslides and floods. So the whole ecology, the geography of the region is very delicate, very sensitive, and this region has a distinct demography as well, as we were discussing. Right? The Buddhists of Leh, the Muslims of Kargil, they have their own distinct religious practices, customs, their own culture, their own identity. And they're also very protective about their land and resources. With regard to management of their land, the water resources, right, and protection of their cultural identity, there are genuine grievances present over here. And according to the writer, these grievances have increased after the dilution of Article 370 in 2019. Now see, prior to this, Ladakh region had been provided with limited autonomy. Statutory autonomy has been provided since 1995. In 1995, the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council Act was brought out, and this has provided for autonomous councils for the Leh region and as well as for the Kargil region. So certain powers have been delegated to these autonomous councils. But however, the autonomy provided is very limited. Only few subjects have been delegated, with most of the powers confined with the erstwhile state of J&K, and now it would be the union government, the government of India. Since Ladakh as a union territory has come under the direct administration of the center, the autonomy is largely curbed, and this statutory autonomy provided to these autonomous councils is very restrictive. It's a very limited autonomy that has been provided. Now, the main concern of the people of Ladakh is that this union territory has no legislature of its own. There's no legislative assembly that was provided in the Reorganization Act. The Reorganization Act split the state of J&K into two union territories. Jammu and Kashmir got its own legislative assembly, but Ladakh doesn't have an elected legislative assembly. So this affects the representation of the people, especially to deal with issues of local governance and to deal with local demands. They're concerned whether they'll have adequate representation in the parliament as well. See, before these changes were done, before 2019, there were 4 MPs from Ladakh. Sorry, there were 4 MLAs from Ladakh in the J&K Assembly, and there were 2 MLCs in the Legislative Council, because the former state of J&K was a bicameral legislature. So Ladakh had a decent representation in both the houses, in lower and upper house. There were 4 MLAs elected from here and 2 MLCs from this region. So it had adequate representation at the state assembly. It had representation in the parliament as well. Of course, now also the union territory will continue to have representation in the parliament, but people are concerned about local representation, local elections. So they're demanding a legislative assembly, they're demanding full statehood. They want a full-fledged legislature with full statehood, and more importantly, they want constitutional autonomy to be provided. They want constitutional autonomy under the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So their main concern is about the unique demography of these regions of Leh and Kargil, the religious profile of the region, how Kargil is largely Muslim dominated, Leh is Buddhist dominated, the sensitive ecology, the difficult geography and terrain, also the disputes, the constant tensions in the region with the neighboring countries, with China and Pakistan, of course affects the well-being, the development of the people. They are worried about their land, their water resources, their identity. They are concerned that the region is backward, it hasn't seen enough development, and now it has been economically disempowered because of its establishment as a union territory without a legislature. So there is high levels of unemployment, very limited access to education, healthcare, connectivity. So all these are economic, social challenges, and this is what has led to the political demands and constitutional demands. The protesters are mainly demanding full statehood to be provided to Ladakh. They want statehood to be granted to Ladakh with a full-fledged legislature of its own, along with provisions of the 6th schedule to be provided to grant autonomy to the region. The 6th schedule provides for the establishment of autonomous district councils in Assam, in Tripura, Meghalaya, and as well as in Mizoram. It is specifically meant for the tribal belt, the tribal districts of these 4 states in northeast India. So these tribal districts in Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, Mizoram, right? They are provided with autonomous district councils. There are 10 autonomous district councils set up under the provisions of 6th schedule. The 6th schedule provides a very high level of autonomy. A number of subjects are delegated to these autonomous councils. They have their own local council elections. The governors of these states also get few special powers to look after the welfare and the development of the tribal districts. The autonomous district councils also have the power to block certain state and central laws from being implemented in order to protect tribal land, tribal culture, tribal customs, etc. So this is autonomy with constitutional status. This is constitutionally guaranteed autonomy, which is available to 10 tribal districts in northeast India. So on similar lines, people of Ladakh are demanding constitutional autonomy. Right now they have statutory autonomy under the 95 Act. Now they want 6th schedule autonomy, and they want statehood. They want Ladakh to be recognized as a separate state with a full-fledged legislature. They want adequate number of seats in the parliament as well to ensure adequate representation, to ensure that these communities are included. And they also want reservations in jobs and as well as with regard to education. So given their social and economic backwardness, they're raising these demands and they're expecting the government of India to fulfill them. So as of now, the Home Ministry, Ministry of Home Affairs, has set up a high-level committee to engage with the people of Ladakh, to talk to the protesters, the organizations leading these protests, right? They are being engaged by the government of India. The MHA is in direct talks with them. But as of now, there is no solution which has been found. So this is what we take away from this important column. And now we come to the next article from the supplement page, from the Science and Tech supplement edition, which is provided in the online edition of the Hindu. So on this page, we have an article that is related to health-related issues, governance and social issues. The article is talking about the lack of diversity in our health-related policy making. The article is presenting some very interesting data based on recent studies that were conducted. And the data shows that if you look at important health-related organizations, institutions, committees, policy-making bodies, etc., they are all dominated by men, by bureaucrats and doctors. Whereas there is a lack of representation for women, for local health professionals and activists, and this, according to the writers, is a big disadvantage with regard to health-related policy making in the country. This is not an inclusive approach, according to the column. This represents centralized policy making, where only few privileged groups are being represented at these key institutions, platforms and bodies, whereas a big section is being left out. For example, if you look at India's elite medical institutions, if you look at important statutory bodies and other organizations which regulate the field of healthcare and medicine, right? In all these bodies, there is very limited representation for women in general and for local healthcare professionals. There is an over-representation of men and doctors who represent the higher hierarchy in the healthcare sector, right? And bureaucrats who come from the civil services, they have a higher representation compared to any involvement of local health activists. Now, for example, if you look at the healthcare structure in the country, you have doctors, nurses and midwives and others, paramedics who assist the doctors and who provide for care in the hospitals. Then you also have the ASHA workers, the accredited social health activists. This is roughly the healthcare structure, especially at the grassroots. So doctors in some of the top institutions and hospitals, in some of the top academic institutions and hospitals, they have enough representation in leadership positions. In key bodies, in key decision-making institutions, they have adequate representation. But nurses and ASHA activists are largely left out. They are not even considered in the leadership roles, and there is very limited representation given for them. The same holds good for women healthcare professionals. Women doctors have a big disadvantage. If you look at most of the policy-making bodies, they are dominated by men, right? There is very limited representation for women, and in the healthcare sector, this is a huge disadvantage. Because to look after women-specific health-related issues, right, you need more inclusive representation for women, and otherwise there would be clear gender gap in the policies that will be brought out. For example, the study which was conducted says that only 18% of women are holding leadership roles in the healthcare sector. They have studied various healthcare institutions, academic institutions, statutory organizations, government bodies, etc., and they have taken the statistics. Only 18% women are in leadership roles. Rest of it is occupied by men. Majority of the leadership positions are occupied by bureaucrats who have no professional healthcare experience, who have no medical knowledge. Doctors have some representation, but local healthcare professionals, starting from nurses to the ASHA activists, they have absolutely no representation at all in leadership roles, in policy making. So this, according to the column, is a huge disadvantage. This leads to centralization of policy making. Policies are being made in Delhi, mostly by bureaucrats who are men. So this creates gaps in our healthcare policies, in the major decisions that are taken with regard to the healthcare sector in the country. So women will be left out. ASHA activists will be left out. Almost 100% of ASHA activists are women. Majority of nurses in the country are women. So if they're not even being considered, if they have no stake in the decision-making process, this leads to centralization of our healthcare policy. It leads to gender gaps arising with regard to women-related health issues and problems. They may not get adequate representation in the healthcare policy and the decisions that are made. So that is the key argument being made by this column, based on these studies that were conducted recently. So this completes my detailed discussion of the big articles in today's newspaper. Now, before we head towards the prelim section, we have another announcement. These are the special classes that are scheduled for today on the Unacademy app. So please make a note of the topics, the educators who are going to take these classes, and the timings. They're all provided right here. So the links are also shared in the description of this video. So do attend these classes and you will be able to cover a number of important static topics. So let's look at the prelim section. On page number 6, the Hindu carries a very vibrant, beautiful image that is depicting a unique art form from India. Here you can see a martial tribal art dance form being depicted known as Purulia Chhau. The Chhau art form is specific to eastern parts of India. It's a very well-known art form. It's a semi-classical Indian dance form which involves martial skills. Essentially, combat techniques are involved in this particular dance form. Tribal traditions, tribal symbolisms are represented, and folk traditions, local folk traditions from eastern India finds representation in this semi-classical Indian dance form. So the Chhau dance form is found across eastern India, and there are three specific variants, three distinct variants. Purulia Chhau is practiced and performed primarily in West Bengal, whereas the Seraikela Chhau is specific to Jharkhand. The tribal communities of Jharkhand, they practice this version of Chhau. And in Odisha, we have the Mayurbanj Chhau. So these are the three distinct, unique styles of Chhau art form, which is a semi-Indian classical dance form that combines martial combat skills with tribal symbolisms, tribal art, and as well as folk traditions. Usually the performers are male. It's usually the male dancers in the family who are taught. The skills are passed down traditionally from generation to generation within the family. So there is very limited representation for women. It's largely male members of the family who perform the dance form. And the unique thing about Chhau is that there is no verbal or no facial expressions involved. In this art form, the dancers, they keep a very still face, a rigid face. For example, if you look at Purulia Chhau, the dancers wear a mask that completely conceals their facial expression. In the other two Chhau art forms from Jharkhand and Odisha, they may not use a mask, but they cover themselves with paint and tribal art forms. You can hardly decipher their facial expression. You can't read their facial expression. They keep a very still, rigid face, a poker face. But how do they express then? If this is a dance form, how do they express the emotions? The expression is entirely through the body of the dancer. The face is expressionless. They don't utter a single word. It is completely non-verbal, and there are no facial expressions involved. That is what is unique about Chhau. It is entirely through the body that the dancers exhibit the expressions, the emotions. Is that clear? So they bring martial combat techniques. It's actually a very vigorous, very acrobatic dance form. It's very acrobatic to look at, right? It's a very vigorous technique as well. So martial combat techniques are involved along with the stylized gaits, the stylized position of animals and birds. That is extensively used in this art form, which is a tribal element. That's a tribal infusion into this art form. The stories that they narrate is largely based on Hindu scriptures from Mahabharata, Ramayana, the Puranas, and other ancient Hindu scriptures. They serve as the basis for the storyline that they are depicting through their dance form. Is that clear? But what is unique is that there are no verbal expressions, no facial expressions. The face remains very still and rigid, sometimes covered with a mask, but expression is entirely through the body. That's why they bring tribal elements with martial elements along with folk tradition to express those emotions through the body of the dancer. And also interestingly, since the dancer is mute, the dancer doesn't utter a word, right? The only element which keeps it extremely interesting and engaging is the instrumental music. There are no songs, there are no background singers, no songs are sung here. Only instrumental music, very vibrant, ethnic, tribal music is presented by using various percussion instruments and pipe organs, such as Shehnai, Mohuri, and a few percussion instruments. So they primarily bring the music element, and the dancers primarily express through their body. So this unique martial art form, a dance form, which is specific to Eastern India, is called Chhau. And it's a very important topic. I'm stressing on this because it has been inscribed into the UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage. In the year 2010, the Chhau art form from India was inscribed into the UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. It essentially recognizes intangible cultural heritage, something you can't measure or something you can't quantify. For example, World Heritage sites that you have, it recognizes physical sites, which are natural sites or cultural sites or mixed heritage sites. You can physically look at them, you can attribute them, you can quantify them, right? But there are many art forms, many traditions and cultural heritages that we have inherited as part of our humanity that can't be quantified, that is not tangible, right? So UNESCO recognizes such intangible heritages, and there's a separate list maintained for this through the UNESCO, and Chhau art form is inscribed on the list. Next, on page 12, we have an article referring to the Schengen zone of the European Union. There's a big development. Kosovo, which is a unrecognized country in the Balkan region, in the Balkan mountain region of Europe, it has been provided access, visa-free access to the Schengen zone. So there are important points from here which can come as a prelims question, maybe as a map-based question, or a question on the Schengen agreement, the Schengen zone itself can be asked in prelims. So that's the last topic, and after that we can end the session for today. Kosovo is a breakaway country. There has been a brutal conflict here in the Balkans. All right, let me show you where the Balkan region is located. This is the Balkan region. It's in the southeast part of Europe. So this is where you have the Balkan mountain ranges, where you have countries like Serbia, Montenegro. Then Kosovo is one such country over here, which broke away from Serbia. So this region has seen a brutal war and a conflict in the 1990s between Bosnians, the Kosovans, the Serbs, and the others. So Kosovo, which broke away from Serbia, is not internationally recognized. It is not a UN member. It's not recognized by the UN as a country. Russia, China in particular, are strongly opposed to the recognition of Kosovo. So without Russia, China's approval as their permanent members, UN cannot recognize Kosovo as an independent country. But some Western countries, some West European countries and US, they work with Kosovo, they recognize Kosovo as a separate nation. All right, so Kosovo has been recently granted access to the Schengen zone. Visa-free access has been provided. Now, what is this Schengen zone? The Schengen zone in the European Union region is basically a passport-free, immigration-free travel corridor that has been created. This is integral to the structure of the European Union. The goal of the European Union was to form a strong political economic union to integrate Europe, to provide for free movement of people, free movement of goods, services, and investments. So in 1985, an agreement was signed amongst some of the founding members of European Union. They signed this agreement called the Schengen Agreement. Schengen refers to the village, the town where this summit was held. It's in Luxembourg, which is a very small European country. It is sandwiched between France and Germany. Luxembourg is a West European country, a very small landlocked country, which is sandwiched between France and Germany. So this meeting in 1985 took place at a town and a rural area called Schengen. That's where the agreement was signed. So this visa-free, passport-free corridor, which was created through this agreement, is called the Schengen Agreement. That zone is called the Schengen Zone. So if you ever try to visit some of these countries which have created these open borders, you have to get a Schengen visa. Instead of getting separate visas, let's say from France, Germany, Italy, etc., you have to get a Schengen visa which will grant you access to visit all the countries that are part of the Schengen zone. Is that clear? Now, if you look at European Union, how many members are there? There are 27 member countries. The UK was 28. It had recently quit through Brexit. So UK is no longer part of EU. Of course, it's not part of Schengen zone as well. So in the European Union, there are 27 member countries. But interestingly, not all EU members are part of Schengen zone. There are few non-EU countries as well, which have been included under Schengen zone. So this is what you should understand for your prelims. Out of the 27 member countries, only 23 of them have signed the Schengen agreement. So which are the other 4? The 4 European countries which are EU members but they have not signed Schengen agreement includes Romania, Bulgaria, Ireland and Cyprus. I'll repeat this point. These 4 countries, the Republic of Ireland over here, Romania and Bulgaria, right, in Eastern Europe, and Cyprus in the Mediterranean. These are EU members, but they have not signed the Schengen agreement. They are outside of the Schengen zone. But there are few non-EU members which are part of it. For example, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. Just the other day, we spoke about another grouping here, a trade grouping called European Free Trade Agreement. India is negotiating a free trade agreement with EFTA countries. Which are these countries? It is Switzerland, Liechtenstein, then Iceland and Norway. These 4 countries are part of Schengen zone. They are non-EU countries. They are not members of EU, but they are part of Schengen zone. So 23 EU members are part of it, plus 4 non-EU countries. The EFTA countries are also part of Schengen zone. So those who are part of it, for them, it's an open border system, a passport-free, immigration-free system where people can freely move around these 27 countries. So in the Schengen zone, there are 27 countries. Understood? 23 EU members and 4 non-EU members. But some of the other countries here in the Balkan, which are neither part of EU nor part of Schengen, they can also be given visa-free access. Some countries have been provided visa-free access. So now the proposal for giving visa-free access to Kosovo was pending from a long time. It was a controversial topic because Kosovo is not recognized by the UN. It's not recognized as a country internationally. Many EU members were against it. But now consensus has come up between them and they've granted visa-free access to Kosovan people to enter the Schengen zone for 90-day period. All right? Then Croatia became the latest entrant. Croatia is an EU country. It's an EU member. It is the latest entrant to have joined the Schengen zone just recently. So these are some important facts about European Union which could be important for your prelims. So this concludes my discussion for today. Please take a look at the practice questions. It's all based on what we have discussed. So please take them up for your answer writing practice. So this concludes my discussion for today. I hope you guys have liked the session. If you did, please press the like button, share your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. That is it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.